NVIDIA's earnings is less than 2 weeks away, and in the past few days, I've heard a lot in fear, uncertainty, and doubt about if NVIDIA can meet its overall revenue expectations. Now, the main reason that this is coming out is we have seen by previous earnings that there are some delays impacting specific companies in forms of their revenue growth. So on today's episode, what I want to do is the following. First, I want to take a closer look at what are some of the analysts saying about these delays. I also want to take a closer look at some earnings transcripts of multiple companies kind of explaining these delays. Then I kind of want to share NVIDIA's thought process and why I believe a lot of these delays and fear, uncertainty, and doubt should be overlooked. So let's take a closer look in today's episode, but too long to watch. I think NVIDIA is going to report just fine numbers. And I think any of the delays that we're seeing right now is not something investors should worry about. Let's get started, but make sure to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Check out the pinned comment for special offer at fool.com/Jose. And check out the free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so we can see NVIDIA ended the day on Friday at great levels, 138. We're back to nearly those $140 levels. I think we're back to like that whole DeepSeek drama that happened a little bit less than a month ago when the stock was, I'm not there yet, but we're almost back there. I've done plenty of videos here where I mentioned that the DeepSeek drama was pretty much just a great buying opportunity. I mean, just 11 days, I did an episode, Time to Buy NVIDIA Stock is Extremely Cheap. And I'm going to guess the stock is, sitting below $120 as I did that video. Now, let's try to see what's happening here in the market, what's creating these uncertainties. So on February 13th, we see this article, Don't Ignore Supermicro's Negative Read-Through, says Analyst about NVIDIA stock. And in this article, they take a look at an analyst from Lynx Equity who takes a interesting look at Supermicro's recent earnings. And he mentioned that NVIDIA's CFO said at CES that it's all on track in regards to Blackwell production. And we're working with partners on things like liquid cooling. And here, Supermicro, the leader in liquid cooling technology, is saying that it's yet to receive allocations of GB200. This raises questions. Have Blackwell shipments been further delayed since CES? And this is something that obviously we should kind of take a closer look at. Now, we also see another article here from Mizuho's analyst, where the analyst believes that the first half of 2025 will be lackluster for the Blackwell ramp. As a result, he has trimmed his second fiscal quarter revenue estimates for NVIDIA. He believes that the cooling requirements on the GB200 are a key driver behind the orders being shifted later into the year. Now, I want to take a closer look at Supermicro's most recent earnings before kind of giving my overall thoughts. So first, Supermicro mentions that they had begun volume shipments of both air-cooled and liquid-cooled NVIDIA's B200 HGX system. Meanwhile, their NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 racks are fully ready as well, but are not shipping. And then later on throughout this earnings transcript or the earnings call, analysts were wondering, hey, you just reduced your guidance for the fiscal year. What's the reason behind it? And the CFO mentions that I would say that probably the biggest factors was just the delay in new technology. This new technology is NVIDIA's Blackwell chip. Because when you think about it, we were all set to go and ship with liquid cooling. We were ready, but the problem was not everything else was. So we can see that NVIDIA's Blackwell delay is definitely causing some pain for Supermicro. Now, I also do have one more key point here where we can actually see the delays also take place. This is from Amazon's most recent earnings. However, it is true that we could be growing faster when they talk about AWS, if not for some of the constraints on capacity. And they come in the form of, I would say, chips from our third-party partners. Our third-party partners come a little bit slower than before, with a lot of midstream changes that take a little bit of time to get the hardware actually yielding the percentage healthy and high quality servers we expect. So the only real third-party supplier of any type of chips for AWS is NVIDIA. And we have seen that there have been some implementation changes with the Blackwell platform. So that doesn't mean that NVIDIA hasn't shipped the chips. It just means that to start them up and be running them just takes a little bit longer than maybe previous generations. So these two things can kind of create some negative showcase that NVIDIA's delays are probably going to hurt them in their overall quarter this earnings. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Now, let me explain why. So first, there's few things to remember is NVIDIA's Blackwell platform is more than just one chip, right? It's not just the BX100, it's the B100, it's the B200, it's also the GB200, right? The Grace Blackwell 200. The B200 is kind of the one that's very similar to the HGX H100, right? So those are kind of those similar ones. And Supermicro mentioned that those are in full production. Those are the ones that are in full production right now, the NVIDIA B200 HGX system. And this was the best seller of the H100 platform, or the Hopper platform, right? The H100 and the H200. Now there's the new platform, which is the GB200. And the GB200, I want to say, it's really only meant for big major cloud server providers, your Amazon, your Google, your Microsoft, and your Meta platforms probably as well. Now, the GB200s, I want to say, are also going to go to some of the other players as well, as they provide solutions for cloud serving giants and cloud server providers. But most of those four giants that I mentioned, they design their own servers. They don't buy from Supermicro. They don't buy from HPE. They don't buy from Dell, right? They take the chips directly and they have their own system already. They have their own engineers that are already building their servers for them. Because these guys have massive data centers, it just makes more sense for them to have their own internal team. Right. So that's why you're Microsoft and you don't see Microsoft partnering up with Dell to buy GB200s or B200s. It's because they have their own server players. So in my opinion, what's happening is Supermicro gets a lot and a lot of B200s because those are the customers that are going to be buying the B200, right? You're outside of your big hyperscalers. What NVIDIA is doing during this ramp up process, it's giving the GB200 not too much to your Supermicros. I mean, we have heard reports that HPE is already shipping the Blackwell, but most of the GB200 systems, in my opinion, were sent directly to your hyperscalers because those are the ones that are buying this in super amount, and those are the ones that really care about it. The main reason is the GB200 is the best product for inference, right? And right now with this time scaling, with this thinking of product models, the GB200 is an amazing product for your Microsoft that is using OpenAI's O1, for your Gemini that's using its own kind of thinking, and all your other big cloud service providers that allow different type of large language models under their platform. So right now, the evolution of time scaling, this is super crucial this is the best product for there, right? This is the best inference product in TCO. And I get a lot of questions. They'll say, what is NVIDIA's moat for their inference? It's the GB200 and BL72. Everybody thinks NVIDIA is just for trading. No, the ability to communicate with 72 GPUs as one GPU is insanely good for inference. So there's no reason why anybody should be worried about NVIDIA outside of pre-training. There's a lot of strength in inference. And I don't think these kind of reports that we should be worried about the delays on NVIDIA's side. Obviously, Supermicro got hurt. Obviously, maybe the capacity growth took a little bit longer just because of certain changes in the servers. But NVIDIA is still sending out those chips, and I think they're going to at least easily meet expectations and somewhat beat it, right? So earlier on, I was kind of thinking about this, but the more I think about it is the GB200 is meant for those big hyperscalers that need a lot of capacity and a lot of inference strength. So there's no reason that NVIDIA is going to be sending much of those volume shipments to Supermicro, even though we've heard companies like HPE do it. We just kind of heard that rumor that XAI and Dell are working on on a massive Blackwell platform as well. We don't know what type of chips those are, if it's going to be the B200 or the GB200. I'm going to guess it's the GB200 as it's really a big AI company. But most of the GB200s, since it's in early productions, is probably going straight to the big hyperscalers. So if you had any fear, uncertainty, or doubt about NVIDIA's upcoming earnings, I hope this provides some great value of why one shouldn't be worried. And actually, before we go any further, I had some notes from NVIDIA. So NVIDIA in their last recent earnings mentioned, hey, look, Blackwell is in full production after successfully executing change. Blackwell is now in the hands of all major partners, and they're working to bring it up to their data centers. They also mentioned that NVIDIA's Blackwell architecture with NVLink switch enabled up to 30 times faster inference performance and a new level of inference scaling, throughput, and response time that is excellent for running new reasoning inference applications like OpenAI's O1 model. Not only that, NVIDIA in their last earnings also mentioned that demand greatly exceeds supply, and they are on track to exceed their previous Blackwell revenue estimates of several billions of dollars, and their visibility into supply continues to increase. Now, the only thing I want to say is I do believe NVIDIA is going to beat expectations. The question here is NVIDIA already pricing that in? Is the stock, are investors already pricing that in? And that's why is even though one can be bullish on NVIDIA's beating expectation, one doesn't know how the stock will react afterwards. Is the market already seeing what I'm seeing? Is this 70% growth from its low in January kind of already beating those expectations and pricing that in? Or is there still room to grow? And that's the fun thing about investing is we can see a company do well, but then we wonder why the stock price drops. It's all about what's priced in. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think all this is priced in already? Or do you think NVIDIA beating expectations and kind of dismissing a lot of these fear and uncertainty doubts that is happening in the market, gonna give a stock a positive reaction? So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.